Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm meteorologist Kylie Bearse with 9 News, and today are talking about weather balloons, which are a really important tool when it comes to forecasting. So you can see a couple of them here. I've got a few pictures to show you, and I'm going to explain why it's so important to what we do in just a few minutes. But first, let's talk about what exactly is a weather balloon and what does it do. So starting with what they do. So here's what happens. The National Weather Service, they've got stations all over the country, but the weather balloons even go all over the world. So twice a day at the exact same time all over the world, 900 weather balloons are launched up into the air. And so once they're up in the air, can you see this one kind of floating around in the sky? They last for around 2 hours before eventually they get so high, they expand so much, they end up popping. And before they're able to do that though, they can travel 125 miles. So these guys can go really far, wherever the wind happens to blow them, whether that's north or south, just depends on what the weather's doing that day. Now, as far as how high in the sky, they can go over 20 miles high in the sky. So they get really far up there, and they've got a really important job to do once they're up there. So just like most balloons, they're made out of latex or synthetic rubber, but these guys are huge. So they start out about 6 feet wide. So here you can see a person heading out there to send that weather balloon up into the sky. They start out about 6 feet wide, but as they rise, they expand, and then eventually, right before they pop, they get to about 20 feet wide. So that's just massive. They more than triple in size while they're up there doing their job. And here's the job that they have. They've got to take this radiosonde all the way up into the sky. And that radiosonde, this little piece of equipment right here, that is going to measure pressure, it's going to measure the temperature, and it's going to tell us the relative humidity at all sorts of levels in the sky. So starting with right here on the ground, and then as it continues to travel those 20 miles up into the sky, it continues to collect all of that different information. So they're a really important tool. And so they actually, what's kind of neat about them, they've got this little parachute that they're attached to. So after the balloon pops, that little piece of equipment, not a total loss. In fact, that parachute's gonna help it float nice and safely back down to the ground. You can see it there. It's actually powered by a small battery that's inside. So this little guy, again, has a really important job. But once it lands, you never know where it's going to land. The National Weather Service can't just go out and say, okay, we think it's gonna land here, and go and find it. So what they do is they rely on people, just like you, just like me. If you happen to find one, it has a little piece of instruction on it, mailing instructions to send back to whatever National Weather Service office that came from. So that's actually one of my goals in life, is to hopefully find one of those and be able to mail it back, because only about 20% end up being returned every year, when about 75,000 go up. So there are so many out there that are just total losses, and they are biodegradable, so they're not actually hurting the environment or anything like that, but kind of cool. You can send it back if you're lucky enough to find one. Okay, so let's talk about the information that we get. We talked about that radiosonde and that it measures temperature, pressure, and humidity. Well, once it puts all of that information together, here's what it ends up looking like. So I know this is kind of complicated. You don't need to worry too much about this. It's called a sounding or a SCUT. And while you guys might not know what this means, as meteorologists, it's really important information, because what it's telling us is what the weather is like at the ground, another 1,000 feet, another 1,000 feet, so on, until it gets all the way up into the sky. And so we can tell what the wind was like at each level that it was recorded, the temperature and the dew point. And these are really helpful because they give us what we call a vertical map of the atmosphere or of the sky. And that means that we have an understanding of what the weather is doing on the ground and then all the way up into the sky. And when it comes to severe weather season, these can tell us a lot of really important information. But a little bit easier to understand is that it helps us spit out models like this one too. And so as you can see, that's the United States. We've got all of the different storm systems that we watch for, and another one that's kind of crazy. Again, you guys don't have to worry about this. This is why we went to college and got those meteorology degrees. And so that is what a weather balloon does. And they're very cool. Oh, and I can show you a real quick video of what they do. And I'll link to this in the comments here too if you want to watch the whole thing. But as you can see, it's just a person who takes it out every day. Here they go, and then to launch it, they let it go, and it flies up into the sky, and it lasts for about, again, 90 minutes to 2 hours, and they can watch it there. So sometimes you can see these. If you get really lucky, they're kind of cool and kind of special to see. All right, let's head on back, because we have time for a science experiment, and this one is so much fun. It's called Rain Cloud in a Jar. So let me get rid of my laptop and make some room here. So you only need a couple of things, and you probably have all of these things at home already, so you don't even have to go to the store, which is really nice. You just need a clear glass. Yep, fill it up with water, and then you need some shaving cream, so go ahead and head into mom or dad's medicine cabinet. I bet you can find some of that. Ask them, of course, first. And then some food coloring. So I went today and I got a couple of different colors. And so this is just really fun and really easy. You take that shaving cream and you just go ahead and you put it right on top. Oh, it's kind of flying everywhere. You can do as much or as little as you want, but I will tell you, the more you do, the longer it's going to take to actually make it rain, and that's what we're trying to do. So if you wanted to, you could do less water and have more of the cloud on top, but this shaving cream represents our clouds, and then the water right here is our atmosphere. So a lot of times that weather balloon would travel all the way up through the sky, and it would tell us all the information along the way. Okay, now for the fun part. You wanna take your food coloring, and then you can just go ahead and start to drop it into your clouds. Because what happens here and why we're doing this is that we have clouds, and clouds hold a lot of moisture. And so again, that's one of the things that we're looking for when we're sending that weather balloon up. And with that moisture that they have, let me get this out of the way. Once they're saturated, that moisture starts to fall out and we get rain. So kind of cool. You can see all of the rain that's coming down. It's super, super colorful. If you want, you could add a couple more colors to go in it. Let's do some pink. That sounds fun. Ooh, nice. There it goes. Definitely more on this side. Can you see it okay? Let me turn it just a little. Ooh, it's starting to move a little bit. You could add some more. We could do, looks like it's already kind of creating purple. So how about, I don't see much happening on this side. Let's do some green over here. Uh-oh. Oh, it may have gone outside of the cloud. That's okay. Have lots of fun. Take pictures. You can share them on the 9 News Facebook page. I'm going to be on air all weekend, so I would love to see what your science experiments look like. Kind of fun. So again, all you need is shaving cream, some food coloring, and then a glass, and you can do it as many times as you want. So have fun, guys. Have a great weekend. And if you take some pictures of you guys doing some science experiments, make sure you send them our way.